Okay, so I'm Dr. Asim Javed. I'm an interventional cardiologist at Rawalpindi Institute of Cardiology, and my task today is to talk about possible role of cardiologists in establishing these mechanical thrombectomy services in developing countries like Pakistan. So I'd like to go a little fast so that I leave some time behind for questions. So I would say that stroke interventions parallel primary PCI for STEMI. So what's common in both? There are blocked arteries with thrombus there, and you have to remove the thrombus. The only difference being that the cardiologists have to remove the thrombus in beating heart with moving arteries. In the brain, you've got static arteries. So majority of the world does not have mechanical thrombectomy services. So if you look at the figures, out of a total of 2,000 centers, 78% of these are based in US, UK, Brazil, France, Germany, and Australia. Rest of the world, you barely find these services. Last night I was trying to dig out some data. So I looked at UK 2020 data. So this is 89,000 strokes in that 1 year, 77,000 were ischemic strokes, 35 to 40% expected to be LVOs, 10 to 12% expected to be candidates for mechanical thrombectomy. Only 1.5% actually received mechanical thrombectomy. So these figures are UK statistics official that more than 7,000 eligible patients each year were unable to get mechanical thrombectomy services. So why is that so? So again, I tried to dig out a little more. So only 3 hospitals in UK at that time were providing 24/7 stroke thrombectomy services. Whereas at the same time, 62 hospitals were providing 24/7 primary PCI services. Again, number of INRs working in UK at that time were 81, and 7 were scheduled to complete training in 2020, another 8 were to complete it in 2021. So by end of 2021, there would still be 96. At the same time in 2020, 713 consultant interventional cardiologists were registered with UK and they were already working on a 24/7 program. So this is the latest publication that came from Iris Brunborg. I think majority of you probably would be knowing she's a neuroradiologist working in UK doing mechanical thrombectomies. And this is the question that was asked, can interventional cardiologists help deliver the UK mechanical thrombectomy interventional program? So this is a recent survey by British Cardiac Interventional Society which shows that 52% of interventional cardiologists, when asked, they agreed to contribute to stroke mechanical thrombectomy service as part of the 24/7 service after appropriate training. So I tried to look at a few more countries. So this was interesting for me. St. Petersburg, only 25 patients per year were being treated with mechanical thrombectomy, and in 2015, they started an interventional stroke program involving interventional cardiologists and their cath lab network. And as a result, with combining skills of INRs and ICs, the program treats 650 cases per year with mechanical thrombectomy, and their reported successful reperfusion rate is 81%. Again, if you look at different European countries, you can see a huge variation there, and a lot of European countries still need to come up with these services. Same 2020 comparison of United States. 834,000 strokes, 726,000 were ischemic, 275,000 were LVOs, and how many underwent mechanical thrombectomy? 9,000. That's only 3% patients were able to get mechanical thrombectomy. So neurointerventionists at that time in US were 1,200, and at the same time, look at the human resource that was there in the form of interventional cardiologists and radiologists, that's 8,000. Now, this is EuroPCR 2018. So I'm going to show you the original slides of that presentation. This is a key message from the Inter-Society meeting of European Stroke Organization, ESMET, and many more. And this is their original slide where they showed that countries where international cardiologists already are participating in mechanical thrombectomy services. That's Cape Town, South Africa, Czech Republic, Turkey, USA, Netherlands, Slovakia, Denmark, Portugal. The important thing that they also mentioned here is that training of new interventional neuroradiologists would take more than 2 to 3 years, versus training of experienced interventional cardiologists that would be as short as less than 2 to 3 months. Again, this is their slide, because not every cardiologist they would recommend to do this. So they would recommend any cardiologist who's completed training in interventional cardiology with at least 3 years experience afterwards, and then they have to gain experience with DSA procedures, with carotid angiographies, carotid stenting, and then they have to do 25 assisted thrombectomies and then 25 thrombectomies as first operators before they become independent stroke interventionists. This is the same thing, and in this diagram they also are recommending to do ExMed course, which is the ExMed stroke diploma. So I'm proud to say that our cardiologists are now doing this. A lot of them from NICVD, from RIC, we have already done these stroke diplomas, so they are quite useful. This is a study which was done in Prague, where they compared interventional mechanical thrombectomies done by cardiologists versus other vascular neurologists and radiologists, and there was no statistical difference between the outcomes. So this is our Bible of Interventional Cardiology, textbook of Interventional Cardiology to whole. And now carotid and stroke interventions are part of the curriculum of Interventional Cardiology. It's in our curriculum now. So I tried to find some statistics to reflect what's happening in Pakistan. So if I first compare the United States, this is publication by Professor Ansar Tariq Rai, he's a close friend of mine as well. So STEMI 70 to 80 per 100,000 per year in USA, and ischemic large vessel occlusions is 31 per 100,000 per year. So I tried to extrapolate the same onto Pakistani population. So that means we should have STEMI of at least 160,000 to 180,000 per year, and ischemic large vessel occlusion should be more than 70,000 to 90,000 per year. This is, I'm extrapolating the US figures. But if I look at the Stroke Association publication from Neurology Pakistan, according to them, this LVO burden is more than 100,000 per year. So if you look at different cities with their populations, Karachi should have more than 5,000 LVOs per year. Our Rawalpindi, Islamabad has over 1,000 LVOs per year. So we have a huge burden to deal with. The number of interventional neurologists that we have, I think we can count them on fingertips if I'm not wrong. So at Rawalpindi Institute of Cardiology, we are a public sector institute, so we took this initiative. We are a 272-bed tertiary care cardiac center. The center started in 2012, so it's not a very old center. We have 24/7 CT angio services. We've got 2 CT scans in our ER. One is a 128 slice Canon CT, the other one is a 640 slice Equilium 1, and we've also got the Canon Stroke Artificial Intelligence with that. We have a 3 Tesla MRI, so we are well positioned with the imaging. So our hospital is financed by the government of Punjab. We have 4 cath labs at present. One is a biplane, one is a hybrid lab. The best part is that all emergencies are treated free of charge. So even if we have to give TPA, even if we do mechanical thrombectomies, we do primary PCIs, no matter what we do, the patient pays nothing. The operators don't get anything and the patient pays for nothing. And everybody is entitled there. So at Rawalpindi Institute of Cardiology, we started off with training. My first exposure was with simulators and 3D flow model and animal lab experience in Malaysia. That's the first time when I realized that this is something doable. Then I went on to comprehensive stroke centers in USA, so in South Rai, West Virginia, and Adnan Siddiqui in Gates Vascular Institute. I'm very grateful to them for their all-out support. Then we acquired TPA, we acquired mechanical thrombectomy devices. We have our stroke neurologist who's our hero. So if you don't mind, someone can raise your hand. So our whole stroke program is led by Dr. Salman. He's our stroke neurologist. He's leading the program. So we have 7 to 8 consultant radiologists supporting us. We made a hyperacute stroke unit. We have a stroke clinic. We have a rehab department. And we have neurosurgical backup. We've signed an MOU with our neighboring hospital where the whole department is. And we've got BBH and Dr. Lutna is sitting here. They are supporting us with all the patients whom we do not intervene. We refer them to their department for admission and further care. So this is what we've been doing as my stroke diploma. Then I got certified by WIST. So we have a WhatsApp group on which we have everybody there, and we run the whole stroke code over there. All the consent forms, everything is linked up here. This is clinical audit, so we have every day, first thing in the morning, we have the last 24-hour audit that is presented for primary PCI, mortality, and stroke. All these 3 audits are presented. So this is actual slide of one of our audits that was done in December 2021. So you can see here stroke codes conducted 20. So now on average we do more than 25 stroke codes per day. That's the volume we've gained. So we keep a check on all the timings. You can see the go to line puncture time, one was 88, the other was 105, go to needle time was 52 in these cases. Then we have breakdown of all the patients presented so that we can find out why the delay was there and how we can address that delay. And then we have these, all the LVO finding patients where we intervene or not intervene, everything comes up to the aspect and all so that we can review. Just quick 3 slides about our data. So we started, the first intervention was done on 13th April 2018. We started 24/7 service on 5th April 2021. We've done more than 9,000 stroke codes so far. 75% of RSC stroke codes, the go to CT time of less than 20 minutes was met. No money charged from any patient for imaging or anything. That's a yearly distribution. You can see it's an upward trend continuously. The flow is going up. So far we've done 378 mechanical thrombectomies. We were very slow to start. We were careful, and at the same time we had limited it till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But then by 21 we realized that it's not going to take up unless we make it 24/7 service. So I was doing it all along for these 4 years. So I decided to go 24/7 2021. But then I started training people with me, and slowly, gradually we've been building up, and then the volume is now going up. We've had a few months in 2022 where there were a lot of supply chain issues and we were short of supplies. So far we've given 194 TPAs. TPA alone was 127, and 67 cases it was TPA with mechanical thrombectomy. Again, there have been supply issues, but now market is there, so now we have from them. There will be no more issues. So we've been trying to run workshops and courses to train other interventionists from all specialties. Whatever limited knowledge we have or skills we are happy to pass them on. This is the first workshop that we did where 200 interventionists attended. These are 2 courses that I run, which are more theoretical and audiovisual based and case based for 20-25 people at one time. These are more of awareness courses, and then I'm also running 3-day hands-on stroke workshops because now we get anything between 1 to 3 stroke and mechanical thrombectomies per day. So if somebody comes to me even for 2 days, they get an exposure of anything between 3 to 5 mechanical thrombectomies during those 2 days. That we are doing in collaboration with Medtronic as a clinical proctor for them. This is just glimpses. So now Cardiac Institute is performing 24/7 stroke intervention service in Pakistan. It's Rawalpindi Institute of Cardiology here and NICBD in Karachi. Institutes where cardiologists have performed a few stroke interventions are Tabak Institute, Yatabad Medical Complex in Peshawar, Peshawar Institute of Cardiology, and Gulbarga Institute of Medical Sciences. These are not neurology services at present. These are cardiac patients who on the paper had stroke, but having attended these workshops, they were able to rescue their own patients on the table. So my message would be that teamwork is the key to success. No specialty alone can handle the huge need for stroke intervention. Interventional cardiology has the required skills with availability of cath labs and CT scans all over the country. With support of neurology and radiology, interventional cardiology can play a vital role by performing mechanical thrombectomies. May Allah give us the strength and wisdom to reduce the misery of stroke disability, and may Allah protect us all from ever becoming dependent on others. And before I finish, I just want to show you a 2-minute video clip of Professor Nick Hopkins, who's a pioneer neurointerventionist in USA. And this is what he has to say about the role of cardiologists. Can I have volume, please?
South Africa, and with me is a very honored guest, Professor Nick Hopkins from Buffalo, New York. He's a neurosurgeon and pretty much pioneering the field of stroke prevention. That's the issue. Is getting cardiologists involved. What training do they need? There's a lot of legislation issues, I think, but there is a pushback by the neurointerventionists to not have cardiologists involved. That's it. In the short term, millions of people are suffering, and what do you think about the training program? Very interesting time, because if you look at the neurointerventional community guidelines, they look like a simple turf barrier, but in reality, the way they were designed originally was for first-time users, because the person who goes through a neuroradiology residency, he hasn't done much of any catheter intervention when he gets to his INR fellowship. So the fellowship guidelines are really designed for starting from scratch. And what I think they ignore is the fact that interventional cardiologists are very skilled at catheter interventions. As a matter of fact, if you think about what a cardiologist do all day, they open up occluded arteries, exactly what we need for stroke. But they do it on an awake patient in a moving target, because everything's moving in the heart. Modifications and lots of oxygen. Where do you think this field is going? Just to summarize, it's a great question. I think, again, if you look at the fact that there are 16 million strokes in the world, and if you look at the number of neurointerventionalists that are available for treatment, it doesn't even treat a small fraction of all the strokes. So we've got to have help from our cardiology colleagues to handle the public health issue of how do we treat these patients. If we can return a patient from aphasic and hemiplegic and completely out of the nursing home candidate, if we can return that patient to an essentially normal life, it's a huge benefit to the public health. So we have to figure out a way to satisfy the public health, ignoring turf and working on ways to get cardiologists enough training to understand the basic needs.
Thank you very much.
For the patient and especially helping neurology colleagues. Now I have a couple of questions. One, what is the maximum timing limit for you to perform this mechanical thrombectomy? And number two, do you make it routine to give TPA before mechanical thrombectomy?
Thank you very much, sir. I'll answer the second question first. TPA, we've always had the supply chain issues. We've never had regular supplies. Now with Martin Rowe giving us 200 TPAs, we hope that we'll be able to give TPA to everybody who deserves TPA. Otherwise, in between, there were days, there were months when we did not have TPA. So we had to rely on mechanical thrombectomy alone for LVM patients. But if a patient qualifies for TPA and mechanical thrombectomy both, we will give them both. If he qualifies for TPA alone, we will give him TPA alone. As long as we have the resources. So at present we have them. As far as the time duration is concerned, we try to stick to guidelines, but then we have to look at our own resources as well. So initially we were limiting ourselves to 6-hour time window. Now with the artificial intelligence coming in, all the perfume maps and all, although the recommendation now I think the international faculty here will bear me out that the guidelines are now that with the perfume maps, they are there to include more patients rather than exclude patients. But at present, if it's a large core, we have to exclude that large core. Otherwise, time window, we are happy to go up to 24 hours. We do perfume scans for them, we have MRIs, so we look at all their mismatch and all, and then we decide for the patients. It's all individual based. Please.
You better ask questions.
So, I really admire your work and it's excellent. And I do believe we need to work with the disease, not with the disease, you know. What I will add, and as a suggestion, you guys work on the heart, on the moving part of the vessels. In this part of the world, in underserved areas and all these things, you are the best trained neurologists to do neurointerventions. Because this disease is complicated. It's not just only take the blood, it's dealing with the complications after and all these things. So definitely your role is very important, but we will talk about the Northern Syria stroke program. Honestly, I'm relying on the cardiologist, interventional cardiologist, in training neurologists in intervention and being part of the team. I think, as you said, you need 3 months, maximum 6 months to get just to the static vessels, and the vessels are probably bigger, LVO probably bigger than the vessels in the heart. But I think you will play a major role in teaching, mentoring, and the neurologists.
I totally agree with that. I fully support that.
One more thing, what is your protocol to prevent rethrombosis? Like, so some of these patients do rethrombosis. So what are the timing of putting them on antiplatelets or antibiotics and after?
So, as far as on the table during the procedure is concerned, what we do is once we finish, we reanalyze the artery, we wait for another 10 to 15 minutes to see that the artery does not include immediately on the table. That is one. If that does not happen, then the patient goes to the neurology unit, and then mostly antiplatelets are started after 24 hours, but that is also provided after doing the first CT brain. For the refluent, after that patient, unless the patient has an added indication for anticoagulation, otherwise the patient just stays on single antiplatelet. So I don't think there is anything else to add on to that, unless you're asking me something different that I'm not catching on.
Few patients who rethrombosis within 24 hours. So that is why I'm saying.
So that depends on the etiology of the stroke. Whether the patient has an underlying cardiac issue, patient has mitral stenosis, patient has atrial fibrillation, patient has a prostatic valve, patient has LV clot. So things like that, because you only give them single antiplatelet unless you've put in a carotid stent or you've dealt with an ICAD and you put them on antiplatelets. Otherwise, it's a single antiplatelet after 24 hours and anticoagulation depending on the underlying etiology.
Excellent presentation. In fact, I was just want to highlight when we did the first workshop in Pakistan under the umbrella of Nina Sino back in 2014. Osama was here, and it was in fact 10, 12, 15 people were there, and we did cases in the evening and night and free of cost and all this. So that credit goes to the Mina Sina when we started back in 2014. And second, it's a scenario of the change. I still remember when we were doing the first independent case back in 2015, when TPA was not there, because Dr Saab is the first one to introduce TPA in Pakistan, but not officially. I mean, somehow he was getting it. So before that, we did the first case back in 15. So I just want to share one thing. The whole hospital was involved, getting that patient. Everyone was excited. And when we approached to the patient, his family was telling us, can we come tomorrow? The next day, we came to today, we have a marriage ceremony at home. We have to take uncle back and we can take it. And then we just tried to convince him, please go for the treatment. They were thinking, what sort of money we have to spend? I said, look, not a single penny will be spent on your father, we will arrange it. Then they agreed, and we did it, and it worked very well without. So, but now the scenario is totally changed. The awareness, this Asim is doing a good job, Afidi is doing a good job, in Karachi there are so many centers. The only thing which I feel, the cardiologist, I'm a very strong advocate. In fact, I was the first one to be an advocate for the cardiologist, and the neurologist start talking against me at that level when we are, and Asim knows this thing. The only thing which is missing, Slightly the anatomical and embryological, the orientation, which neuroradiologists, they are the best. So they have to be involved in your courses. So they should be knowing the actual anatomy, anastomosis, embryology, which could give you, in fact, good decision which patient really need or not need in thrombectomy. But definitely the scenario total changed when we started in back in 2015. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.